Hello and welcome to Web of Light. I'm here with
Angie Danjou.
And Dr. Kevin. You know, I actually spent some time this weekend with her husband, who pronounces her name correctly, because he had it a long time before she did. But you know, she just can't get with the program. But that's all right. We love you anyways, okay. Angie Danjou. Angie Danjou. Danjou. Anyways, welcome to Web of Light, and we are doing, I mean, it's one of our weekly shows, but we're actually doing something a little different. We're going to be doing an astrological view of the election. What's going on? What's going on in Donald Trump's chart, what's going on in Hillary Clinton's chart, what's going on in the election day chart, what's going on in the inauguration chart, what's going on in the country chart. I mean, we have so many charts, you know, it makes me think of an Emily Dickinson poem. Did you ever hear that poem?
No, sorry, I didn't.
Oh. I never saw a moor, I never saw a sea, yet I know how the heather looks and what a wave must be. I've never talked to God nor visited in heaven, yet I know the spot as if a chart were given. It's called Chartless. Emily Dickinson. And that's not our quote for the day. That just popped up in my head.
In your mind.
Hey! You know, anyways. So before we get to our first quote, because we got two quotes, and then we went down to Savers, the local Savers.
Yes.
Get an astrologer. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway. No, we have that one and only, of course, back, Dorothy Morgan, New Hampshire astrologer. But we're not quite ready for her yet. She's still in makeup. So how are you, Ben? Talk to me. What's going on?
Doing fine. We had a fabulous weekend.
We did. I mean, do people know that we spend our weekends together?
Partially our weekends.
Partially our weekends, yes. Yeah, between my fiance, your husband, you and me, and I don't know, 50 or 60 or 100 people that came through the expo we did on Saturday. I don't know. But anyways, we did that. So how are you doing? So tell me about your seed. How was your...
That's right, my seed plan. I started to tell you before.
Yeah.
So I actually have been still on it. Weekends I kind of take breaks because I need to have that break. I'm not doing the shake anymore. I stopped the shake. I think I said that a while ago. And I'm right into all of the seeds. So I do the seed in the morning, the seed in the afternoon. And I'll tell you right now, since I've left the shake, I've now lost another 5 pounds.
Good for you.
So I'm having a better time with it by eliminating the shake. However, other people may need the shake to balance out like that need for hunger.
Yeah.
So it's pretty an interesting little journey here.
Well, I'm coming up to 60 days now. So I have not done my updated weight and measurements because one of the things I really wanted to do was do the 30-day challenge, then do the modified maintenance for 30 days and see how it fit in my life, and it's fitting pretty well. I also take weekends off. Jeff and I get to be together on weekends, and I don't want to be like, oh, I could only have one meal a day, blah, 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 blah. We like our food. I mean, you know, we enjoy it. It's part of...
It's part of your activities on your enjoyable weekend.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you know, like I threw some killer blueberry pancakes together this weekend, some bacon and coffee, and you know, but
and why weren't we invited?
Well, you were supposed to be off chasing some
ghost. That's right.
Yeah, you were supposed to be off chasing, you know, a dead person with a dead beat, and the dead beat didn't show up, so the dead person is on their own. I mean, you know, not my fault. So anyways, we did, you know, last time I checked in, I was like down 27, almost 28 pounds. But I'm really looking at this because I'm at least every 30 days going to do a check-in here on air and go, so this is what I did at 30, this is what I did at 60, this is what I did at 90, because what's important to me is this sustainable over the long run? And that's what I look at. I'm still doing my journaling twice a day. My morning coffee, if you are not seeing my morning coffee, then like my Facebook fan page, My Dr. Kevin, MYDRKEVIN. And I put out the morning coffee, and that is all part of my daily spiritual practices to make sure that as I'm losing the weight. So, are we ready for the first quote?
I think we're ready.
Okay, so this comes from Mark Twain. I love Mark Twain. Samuel Clemens. In religion and politics, people's beliefs and convictions are in almost every case gotten at second hand and without examination. What do you think of that?
Yeah. That kind of fits very well with today's show. And it's true. I mean, if you look at the media, you're not going to get the full picture of what you're looking at for candidates. You're not going to get the full picture of who's running for not only president, but for
Selectman, dog catcher.
whatever it may be. And, you know, this isn't just like Congress is very important, but also your actual town or your city or your state is actually part of that too. And, you know, you have to look at where you're getting the information, because sometimes the best information is gotten from those who have been experienced around that person, not the media who's trying to bring them up so that, you know, whatever cause that they're going to be taking care of for so-and-so, you know, that's the only reason they're getting that great aspect of who they really are. The causes and the commercialism should really leave, and the person should look at that person and get to know that person as what they really stand for, who they truly are. Don't you agree?
I do. I mean, with what the actions take, I think that it's very important that people really actually study what is the candidate's history? What have their votes been? What have their, you know, when nobody's watching, what are they doing? Because in this day and age, you can still find out what they're doing. Now, a few years ago, I did a video that I put out on my birthday, as my birthday gift to my viewers, my followers, whatever, you know, depending on the social media, they call them different things. And about 10 things that we needed to do if we want to take back our country. And one of the suggestions that I made, and I still stand by it, is every time something is said that is a lie, and, you know, it's easy to take stuff out of context, and I know that there's a whole lot of gray areas, but still, as soon as one candidate or one group, even if they're not associated with the candidate who is the other candidate, you know, tells a lie and puts it out there, you know, I think, I don't know, $100,000 fine, maybe a couple of years in prison. We have to do something. Yeah. The corruption of the media, the corruption of the campaigners, the corruption of both parties. I mean, it's all so corrupt. And the only thing that's going to make a difference is big fines and jail sentences. And I swear, if we started putting out big fines and jail sentences to some of the shenanigans the politicians are doing, and corporate CEOs and all of this stuff, you start throwing people into jail with no easy way out for 5 or 10 years, you fine them, you know, $100,000, $1 million, whatever, depending on the offense, you're going to see this start to clean up. You will start to see it clean up, because that's the only thing they're going to pay attention to. Because as long as they can get away with it. So I know we're doing an election show today to look at all the different charts. I'm going to read one more quote, which is going to lead us to bringing Dorothy on, who's sitting there now. She is fully made up and beautiful and ready to put forth the astrology. But my second quote for today: I have never considered a difference of opinion in politics, in religion, in philosophy, as a cause for withdrawing from a friend. And that comes to us from Thomas Jefferson. And I chose this because I literally have people that I cannot talk to until after the election, because they have become so rabid about whoever it is that they are supporting. that I would be afraid to show up without a roll of paper towels to clean up the saliva that they're drooling in their rabid form of, oh, you're an idiot, you can't be my friend, you can't be on my timeline, you can't do this, if you vote for it, or whatever. I'm like, really, our friendship comes down to the fact that it could not survive us having a difference of opinion. Mm-hmm. If our friendship cannot survive us having a difference of opinion, we ain't got a friendship. Somebody said something today about, oh, blah, 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 and I'm going to take these people off my timeline. I'm going to just, whatever. And I typed in, I said, stop threatening me with a good time. That was my comment. Because I've had it. And we go back to the first quote. They're just repeating things that they've not researched. They don't know what they're talking about. Both candidates are having a ton of misrepresented lies. And there are two sets of heads up two sets of dark holes that need to be pulled out because people are repeating things that if their children repeated lies the way they're repeating them, oh, well, I heard it on the National Enquirer, so it must be truth. Hillary has 5 alien children, whatever. So what do you think?
Well, it comes down to that same pointer, it's like everybody has their opinion and they should be able to have their opinion. And you're just wasting so much of your energy getting so upset. You have 2 candidates, but a lot of people, you have more than 2 candidates, but a lot of people will look into that and, that's the whole gizmo, but it's not. Again, if you look at the whole projection of the entire thing, it's your congressman, it's your selectmen, it's your whoever is out there in your community, your mayors, your governors. And, everybody has to have their own opinion about these people. I know I do. And I know some don't agree with even Dr. Kevin sometimes. Some of them don't agree with
Fools.
Anybody, sometimes. But it's our own opinions. And we need to allow people to have that freedom of choice. And at the same time, if you stop listening to all the bickering, listening to all the media, and really looked into the research of what these people are really about, then, and then it's like you're freer to sit there and say, well, you shouldn't be going for that person because I researched this and I saw this, this, and this. Now that's something to talk about.
If you want to present me facts that you can back up, and and I've seen this and I've said it before, I was like, show me some facts, we'll discuss them. Not innuendos, not half put together statements. Show me some facts. I will look at your facts, and perhaps they'll influence, perhaps they won't. But at this point, I really just want to, every time I see something on any of the social medias or any of the conversations where people are just basically vomiting garbage that they've IQs go down to 2. When you take intelligent people making completely idiotic statements, all I want to do is say, shut up and vote, shut up and vote. We're not having this conversation. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Shut up and vote. You got to vote. You got one. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
But you know what? I'm not interested in your political sewer anymore.
Well,
no matter which candidate you are, I'm just not interested in swimming in that sewer.
The other piece of the candidates, and I'm going to give our perspective. I'm going to see how you feel about this. When you really look at these candidates, any of the candidates that have been up in platform, have they all experienced different things that are going on in the world? Have they been in a place where there's been poverty? Have they stayed and stuck with a family that was homeless? Have they stayed with a family that maybe it's a mother bringing up 2 children on her own? Have they stayed in a very expensive space where they never had to want or need? Have they experienced all these different pieces that make up our full community? Because our community isn't just the middle class. It's the lower class, it's the higher class, it's the middle class.
And it's the no class.
And it's the no class. So, In that perspective, we need to really look at that piece of it, not really in what media decides that they said, she said, oh, I'm so tired of that.
One of the things is no one person in any one lifetime can experience all things. That's why we have reincarnation. That's why we keep coming back, because the only way to experience everything is to have multiple lifetimes in multiple places. I don't know the answer to your question. I mean, first of all, I don't know how you stay with a homeless person because they have no home, but that's beside the point. That was, for some reason, that stuck with me. But the other thing is,
in the street.
I'm not sure. Dancing in the street. Oh, sorry. But, I mean, I don't know how privileged Hillary's early years were. I've never got the impression that she was raised with a silver spoon in her mouth. I mean, I know the Clintons have tons of money now, but
No, we don't know because nobody ever brings any of those pieces out. The media's looking for the he said, she said.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, she did not come. I mean, we know Donald Trump came from privilege. We know he inherited his fortune and was raised with a silver spoon. That's pretty clear. But as far as I know, I believe that she came from lower to lower middle class. I mean, upbringing, and has gone through a few different classes. And again, I'm not trying to compare he said, she said, but I'm responding to what you said. If you want to talk about a variety of experiences through living them that represents a broader bandwidth of Americans, I would actually have to say probably Hillary has had a lot more than Donald has. I mean,
But you see, you could also, this past weekend I was watching baseball. And Pappy is retiring.
Baseball. The Boston
yeah.
Celtics, right?
No, baseball. Boston
Patriots.
Red Sox.
Oh, Red Sox. Oh, sorry.
But Pappy sits there, he's going to retire. This man has helped out with community, with children.
Yeah.
He's given to his own homeland. He's worked with his team on different benefits. He understands, and he, like when they had Boston Strong, he was kind of there to coach them on and make them feel community.
Yeah.
So, he's just as good a candidate. And he has nothing else to do right now because he just retired.
Okay, yeah, just what we need. Somebody else who can't possibly win taking votes so that somebody will be able to cry foul. So speaking about foul cries, we have a little chickie over here. Hello, Miss Dorothy!
Foul cries. How does that play in?
Hey, well, that somebody was going to, oh, well, if Donald wins, it's because, too many people voted for Gary Johnson or
yeah.
Jill Green. Or if Hillary wins, then the other side's going to say that's because too many people voted for Gary Johnson or Jill Green.
Yeah.
And if Pappy runs, then they're both going to say that cry foul because Pappy will win. But no. So tell us, enlighten us. And so what do you think? What do you think of the Thomas Jefferson quote? I saved that for second because I actually wanted you to comment on it and then go into the astrology.
Could you read it again?
I never consider a difference of opinion in politics, in religion, in philosophy as a cause for withdrawing from a friend.
I agree with you.
Thomas Jefferson.
And I agree with Thomas Jefferson. I agree. I'm very mutable about the whole thing. I don't have too many conversations because people are getting really wound up about it. But they always say things like you have been talking about so far. They say things secondhand, like Mark Twain. I can hear it because I listen to some news, not much, but I listen to some, and then I'll have conversations with certain people, and they get wound up. They get really, really wound up. And basically, I can see the benefits in both of these people in their charts. Donald and Hillary, I could see the benefits and how they would help this country. And then I could also see the flaws. The thing is, we're under a microscope when we're doing something like that, running for president. We're under a microscope, and people are going to exaggerate the good and the bad. And I believe energetically and astrologically, we're ready for this, even though people are like, can we believe this is what it's come to? But I think we're ready for this. I mean, the candidates are showing us pieces of this country, even pieces of ourselves, that we need to examine.
So we have the
Many
good, the
ways.
bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely. I know, huh? I know. It's amazing. I mean, there are so many different things. I mean, we have a chart for Hillary, and the most popular consensus is 8 a.m., but we're not sure. And she's a Scorpio, and Scorpio's not necessarily free to give all the information. Not necessarily, and we know what her reputation is, at least as far as what we've seen so far. She holds things close to the chest. She doesn't, have all her cards on the table, because why would you?
Okay.
This is something that's, it's important to be private and to maintain some of those things. Because the presidency, we never know what's going on. We only know what they want us to know.
10, 15%, maybe.
Ever. I know. And so when people feel so certain about their candidate or something somebody has done, unless I've seen somebody do something, I just take it with a grain of salt. That's just how I am. So I agree with you. I don't think friendships should break up over things like this. In my opinion, they shouldn't. I just look at them and I see people spewing some ugly stuff on social media as well, on my feeds, and I'm like, bless you, my child. And I just move on, because I'm not going to let it get a burr under my cap. It's just not going to happen. I don't want it to happen. I can see both sides of things, being a Gemini. Libras are that way at times too, but I could see both sides of it, and so it won't be easy to make a decision. And like you, I think I might just vote for the local people, because that's the big important vote, the local people. And I'll decide when I'm in the voting booth which way I'm going. I don't know.
Okay.
So I can give you unbiased opinion, maybe. We'll see.
So Hillary is a Scorpio.
She is a Scorpio, and she has multiple planets in the sign of Scorpio. And in astrology, a little astrology lesson here. In astrology, when you're born, we look out into the solar system, and we look at what's on the eastern horizon, because that's really important. So northeast, south, and west is really important in that circle. And so since she was born what we think is near sunrise, that means everything's in Scorpio. So there was a lot of planets in that zodiac sign of Scorpio. So a ton of stuff. Even Mercury. And her Mercury's stationary, because it was going retrograde on the day she was born. So Hillary has, the way she communicates is very precise, extremely thought out. She typically will not say anything that she doesn't mean. Everything has an absolute purpose and meaning, because being a Scorpio, she has researched, investigated, and really gone as deep as she possibly can to get her point across. One of the reasons why maybe a whole bunch of emails would disappear. Why would that happen? I don't know. Right? Things happen. And so when there's country secrets, whatever you want to call them, you have to have somebody that's able to
Keep them.
secrets.
Yeah.
So there is a positive and a negative side, if you will, for everything that's in a chart. And so with her having Scorpio on the ascendant, Sun, Mercury, Venus, all these different planets in Scorpio, that just means that she is much deeper than we realize. Much deeper than we realize. I think if we, as just common people without a camera around, could actually sit down and talk to her, we would realize the depth of who she is.
She has actually always been one of those people, way back even when she was First Lady, that I always said, I would like to sit down and actually have a conversation. And that makes sense because I have all the Scorpio energy. So I look at it and go, there's a whole lot more going on there, and
Yes.
there's things going on underneath it.
There is.
We'll never ever. If she becomes president, we'll see how it plays out. If she doesn't become president, we will never know how she played it out because she's not going to be one that would do a memoir of.
And there will be memoirs of her what's the right word? Unauthorized ones. Because pieces in her birth chart, all of this Scorpio stuff, like I've just said, is very deep and very intense. And there's many other things about it which can be betrayal and secrets and lies. And we know the planets in charge of Scorpio, Mars and Pluto, they're the physical planets, they're the physical things in charge of this energy. And in her chart, this Mercury and Venus, all of this stuff is making a 90-degree angle to Mars and Pluto. So she, through her whole life, has been somebody who has felt and been betrayed multiple times. And we've seen it during her first ladyship, if that's how you would call it.
Yes.
Yes, and and then her moon's in Pisces, and the moon in Pisces is also someone who has depth, but the boundaries are very unclear. And so, in a nutshell, and sort of in essence, her chart is one of, we're not sure who she is. We're not sure exactly. We have only what we've been shown, 10%, what people think, what we think we know from reports from who knows where, and this is the essence of who she is, somebody who is somewhat of a mystery. But when people say lies, like you've mentioned earlier, they stick. And then they carry and they get a life of their own. So she has had a life of betrayal and heartache, but she overcomes it every single time. At least from what we can see. We never know what's in her heart. I mean, who knows what's in her heart? Her family would.
Especially with a Venus in Scorpio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very intense.
Very intense there.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to look at a planet to be, if I said you could only look at one planet to see what kind of service somebody is in the world, what planet would that be?
Of service. There's so many different ways to look at service. I'm thinking
Service to humanity.
service to humanity, that would be Uranus. Uranus is an Aquarius energy, is how can I serve humanity?
Okay.
It's not about me. It's about what I can do for everybody else. It's like the pebble in the pond.
So now, Uranus, for those of you who don't know, is considered a generational planet. So you have a whole generation that will have it because it moves so slowly. But with this one, we would look at what house it's in, even more so than, because her whole generation was a generation that was.
Uranus in Gemini, right.
So
It's in her 8th house, and the 8th house is also ruled by Scorpio.
Theo. Yep.
I'm telling you, most things in her chart come back to Scorpio energy. But we're not 100% certain of that because we don't know what time she's born.
Okay.
The birth time in the astrology chart, because we know the Earth spins, and the zodiac belt around the planet is anchored.
Yep. So, but, I mean, for things like Venus is not going to change in 24 hours normally unless she's right at the cusp.
Correct.
Mercury is probably not, might possibly change depending on what it was, but it would have to be several hours different. I mean, they would be in different houses per se, because the things move through the houses.
Yep.
But they're probably going to be mostly in the same sign. The majority of them would be still in the same signs.
It is for her. The sun is at 2 degrees of Scorpio, and then there's 30 degrees in every zodiac sign. Yeah, so the sun is early Scorpio, and the other ones are just in the middle. Venus takes 3.5 weeks to move through a zodiac sign. Mercury takes approximately 3 weeks, so they move quickly. So, but the specificness of this is that it's right on the ascendant of the
Okay.
chart, which is like our front door. The ascendant in the chart's the front door, east.
Well, and I think that, it doesn't surprise me that she's a Scorpio rising because she has that intensity and she can have that sharp tongue that she's really had to
Yeah.
work
To
on
hone. Yeah.
and learn to control in politics because, she alienated some people pretty early on by speaking her truth. Truth is not popular in Washington.
No, no. And so all of that, and the service, there we go. If I was just service, that tends to be Virgo energy, which can be Mercury as well. So that's another service-oriented zodiac sign, not more so in how I can change things. And Scorpio and Virgo are related to healthcare, and that's something that she pushed heavy in her ladyship as well in
Yep.
her time period as First Lady. And so that kind of really, that's why a lot of astrologers really feel this chart's very strong.
Yeah.
Because if you have a lot of Scorpio and Virgo in your chart, she's a little Virgo, but it's the top of the chart, which is what we're known for. The ascendant is how we present ourselves and how we're presented to the world. And if she wasn't in politics, and this is something that's very important to her, women's health, children's health, she's always been a proponent for these things. So I think this chart is really strong and really very, very strong for her and really good.
So before we move on, and I want to see if Angie's got any questions, because you and I can sometimes gallop into the astrology.
Yeah.
But now I always look at the planet on the sign on the midheaven, as it was explained to me years ago, was that it is, I would describe it as it's the planet that we're here to play our planets through in this lifetime.
It's a public role.
It's a public role.
It's the height of the astrology chart, and the height of the astrology chart means where we're in our public image. It's not the private image whatsoever. It's the public image.
Yeah, but it's also how we're here to change the world in some ways.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So by it being how we're changing the world, I always look at it as like, in her case, I would say Virgo of service. So she takes those qualities of Scorpio, the Scorpio qualities, and figures out how to make them serve the world,
Yeah,
because that's what's on her midheaven.
correct.
So
She could do that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
which I resonate to because I have Virgo on the midheaven and a Scorpio
Oh, that's
rising.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. You do. That's right.
How do you-
Oh, that's right.
How do you take those gifts and talents and play them out in the role?
Yeah, let's move them. Let's move
So,
them on.
any questions about Hillary before we move on to Donald?
Ready to move on.
Okay. Like, I've had enough of her. Let's go on to the other one.
And quickly, too, on her health actually looks fine. Her health really does look fine. We look at transits of Saturn if it's going to create health issues or issues that would really slow us down. So her health actually looks okay. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is handling an awful lot of stress. I mean, they're both handling a lot of stress. And some of the transits that he has going on right now show that there's a lot more stress than we realize, than we're able to see. They're letting us know. He needs to be very careful. And we have his exact birth time because many people have discovered his birth certificate. And so he was born at 10:54 in the morning on June 14th, 1946. He has Leo rising. Leo, we all know about Leo. Maybe we don't. I'll tell you, Leo is very theatrical, very
No.
flamboyant. Dr. Kevin, at times, is very Leo, even though he's a Cancer man. So Donald is a Gemini, And he has Taurus on the midheaven, Gemini, and I'll explain all of this. Let me get the astrology piece out. And 29 degrees of Leo rising, and it's like in 55 minutes, and Mars is right on his ascendant. So that creates somebody who he is. So you all know exactly what Leo is now, because just look at Donald Trump and how he behaves. He is flamboyant. He says things that just stir people up and push everybody's buttons because it's getting him attention. He can do the silliest, stupidest thing, and it creates so much attention because that's what he wants, that's who he is, that's how he gets done what he wants to get done.
Now, some of that is the combination of the Leo and the Mars.
It happens, it's both.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, fire, you know, it's like fire, it's triple fire right there. Whew, it's just crazy.
Because
I'd talk to him too. I think that would be a fun conversation. It wouldn't be a deep conversation, but it would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I would enjoy that.
yeah, see, I think I'd find it frustrating.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it would be interesting to try.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a conversation.
So, Donald, you can come in anytime now. We're doing your chart if you want to sit down and.
Donald Trump is also an eclipse baby, I call him.
Okay.
He was born just a few minutes before an eclipse, which means when people are born near eclipses, usually within 2 weeks, and we always have a pair of eclipses at a time, right? And sometimes it's 3 or 4 in a row, but this year, in his year, he was born just a couple minutes before an eclipse. And when people are born at eclipses, we're meant to shine and change the world because eclipses are seen. We can see them typically somewhere in the world. You can always see an eclipse. So that means that we're meant to be seen. We're meant to be seen.
Seen as what is the question, but
seen and to do, and what do we value? Donald Trump has Taurus on the midheaven. That Taurus is extreme money. It's values. It's feeling very grounded and looking like a person who's very grounded. He doesn't look that way at all, which just me. All we see him then, it's not as somebody who's grounded. We see him as somebody who is wealthy. That's Taurus as well.
Yep.
That's Taurus too.
Yep.
That is what's going on. Donald has, actually, he and I have an awful lot in common in our charts. Same sun, same Mercury, Saturn oppositions, Moon conjuncts. It's like we have a lot in common.
Where's his Mercury?
His Mercury is in Cancer, 8 degrees. Mine's 11. It's like, yeah.
Should Ivana be worried?
Not at all. I am not his. I am too chunky for him. I don't know.
Are you saying that the man does not appreciate a voluptuous woman?
That's correct.
Oh.
He criticizes voluptuous women.
Well, from a fat head to a fat body, what can I say?
So,
Oops, I didn't say that out loud. Was that my out loud voice?
So
Can we edit that? Oh, yeah, don't bother.
I know. So being that he's an eclipse baby, he will draw a lot of attention. Being that he has Mars in Leo, on the Leo ascendant, a lot of attention. Leo has to be careful though, because anybody who's a Leo, if you're not a healthy person, a heart healthy person, if you have a personal planet in Leo, which this is very personal, you can have heart problems. And if you're under too much stress, this is not everybody that's a Leo, but this is if you're not a healthy person or if you're not taking care of certain things, that can happen. You can have that. And he has hard aspects right now to his ascendant and to his Mars. He needs to be careful.
Now, can something attack you that you don't have?
What does that mean? I don't understand your question.
Well, you're inferring that he has to be careful of a heart attack, but wouldn't you have to have a heart to have that happen?
Oh. Wow, sorry. I was being naive.
That's all right.
I was being so serious that I forgot about how fun you are, Kevin. I got too serious, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is fun.
That's all right.
I got in my serious mode.
Oh, you're in serious mode.
I'm Moon
Okay.
Capricorn.
So very interesting that we got Hillary with a Virgo and Donald with a Taurus, which trines, their midheavens actually trine each other.
It's,
Which means that they would be in of support of each other, actually.
they were friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, there would be,
They really should like each other.
yeah. And if they weren't in the political trail, they might.
Yeah.
They did have connections, and
Yeah.
you know, that Scorpio Mercury and that Cancer Mercury would,
Yeah.
you know, would be able to really
Because
communicate
those are
as
both
well.
water signs.
Yeah.
So what we have here is, the similar, the midheavens between the two of them are both earth, so grounded. So they have a similar vibration. Earth is grounded in some groundness, some stability. Donald's a little more fixed in his ways. And then their Mercuries are both in water signs,
Yeah.
Cancer and Scorpio, two of them, and that means they can have dialogues back and forth, but
Yeah. Well, you know, it's been a popular myth for a while that Donald is going to do something to completely blow it just before the election, and that this is his gift to Hillary to get her in as president.
really?
You've not heard that rumor?
I have not heard that
Oh,
rumor.
I haven't.
Oh, that rumor's been running around
that's
for a while.
Funny. Oh,
No,
that's
that-
media happening.
That's
because
media.
because the Trumps and the Clintons were very close for a while.
I know.
Yes.
And then, you know, it was like Donald came out of nowhere after they took his show away because he made so many bigoted remarks. And, you know, so the gossip. Now, here I was
That's
at the
the
beginning,
gossip,
talking at the
that's
beginning
right.
about
Yeah.
gossip. So, but, you know, one of the things that I have no substantiation for
Right.
at all. Just the presentation of the logic
Yeah.
that Hillary walks out with presidency, he walks out with a show again.
Yeah. Oh, I
Which is
did
what he
read
really
that.
wants.
I did read that. Now that you say that piece, let me talk about the election day.
Yeah.
We'll just move on. I want to talk about the election day because there's some exciting stuff. So we start the election day, of course, election day, November 8th, and we agreed to pick. I wanted to just pick the day the moment it starts in D.C. because polls open at 7 a.m. in Washington. So that's the chart I cast because depending on where we are, it shifts because again, the astrology of it. So the sun is rising in the sign of Scorpio. We have Scorpio rising, Mercury in Scorpio. So to start off the day, at least for the first couple of hours on the East Coast, it's a Hillary fest. It would be. It has to be. Why wouldn't it be, right? I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But as soon as, let me grab my notes, the blue paper,
Blue paper.
so I wouldn't lose it in all of these here because there's so many charts. I mean, I have a dozen charts. It took me days to put this together. On election day, we have, see, I can't read my notes.
No!
Doggone it. Doggone it. Again, we start with that ascendant in Scorpio, but the moon is in the sign of Aquarius. And there's this thing called when the moon goes void of course. So in astrology, when the moon is void of course, that means that after a certain time of day, the moon makes no more aspects to any other planets in the zodiac out there at all. So the moon is void, and when the moon is void, it's like we're coasting downhill, It's like you climb the mountain, and now you just put the car in neutral, and you can coast down the hill. There's nothing in your way. Things are just going to coast. So when we have a void of course moon, it starts at 8:54 in the morning, East Coast time, and when it starts at that period, it does not end until 4:45 p.m. And then the moon moves into Pisces. So That's a lot of astrology jargon. What does it mean? It means that the polls are, when they're going to immediately start sending out polls. I mean, this is an election of a lifetime. It really is for most of us. And there's just the news that's going to be coming out. It's just, everything's just going to be so different, so dispersed. We're not going to understand what's going on. It's going to be very unclear about what's going on for most of the day. And then, since the moon is void, of course, and then when it moves into Pisces, just before 5 p.m. on the East Coast, that's a whole new shift. When the moon moves into Pisces, and then when the moon's in Pisces, that's Hillary's moon. Oh, so I'm not saying one thing or another because there's plenty more to talk about. So hang on.
Okay, we got about 10 minutes.
Okay, so what this shows us is this two very different groups of people. So at 5 p.m., after 5 p.m., East Coast, 4 Central, however that goes, you know, we have people getting out of work. So during the day, there'll be plenty of voting, but it's going to be a whole different group of people, that people with the moon in Aquarius, the people who think they're voting for a change. And then we get into the moon in Pisces, and then at 5 p.m., and then if we're on the West Coast, that's noontime, so that's lunch. And so there's just a whole different group of people voting in this time period. And then while the moon moves through the sign of Pisces, it's going to be going through the sign of Pisces all the way through till Thursday, the 10th, at 8:45 p.m. So my opinion of all of this is that we're not going to have a clear answer on that day. It's going to seem very foggy, or it's just going to, people are going to probably scream voter fraud, you know, all of that. Everything's being set up for either we won't know for a couple of days who the actual winner is, or there's just going to be a lot of people saying this has been, you know, there's voter fraud here, voter fraud there. There's going to be a lot of people reporting that. Very interesting day.
Oh.
I know, exhale. I know, we don't even know who to... but once the moon gets into Aries, again, on that Thursday night, into Friday after election week,
Things start moving forward.
Things will start moving forward. Things will start clearing. Because, you know, just like outside today, when I was driving here, it was foggy. The longer I took, because it's an hour drive, the sun came out and it started clearing the fog. And it was so, I have a feeling that it's going to take a few days at least for this to clear. And if I'm wrong, but I still think that's how it feels to me.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since we've had a clean election.
Yeah.
There's been contests, there's been, I mean, the last, you know, there's been all sorts of, you know, challenges, and there's screams all the time of voter fraud. It's like, it's become the new, you know, it's the new flag to wave when you're a loser.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So, well, so my goal of vote at 8, get on a plane for Europe at 9, and come back a week later is a good plan.
Awesome. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, it is. So we do have, there's a lot of unsettling stuff here. We're trying to make some changes. I mean, that's what elections always about, is making changes, but, you know.
So I'm curious, and we've got about 5 minutes. So where did Donald's Uranus end up? Because we did the whole that's of service.
Oh, Donald, it's in the 10th house of that public place.
A public place of Capricorn, okay.
Yeah, that public place and that's where his sun and his north node are, and that's his life path, his life purpose, because he has it also in Gemini, just like Hillary, because Uranus will stay in that one sign for lots of years, around 8 years. No, 12 or 14.
14.
Yeah, about 14, yeah. It takes 82 years to go around, times 12, yeah. So it is in that place of service, and it's part of his life path to understand and to be of service to others. Whether we accomplish it well or not is another story, but...
Well, and how we're of service to others has a lot of discussion points.
It does. And then on election day, I mean, for Donald, because I mentioned some positive things for Hillary, and some positive things for Donald is, you know, he's in a Jupiter return, and Jupiter coming back to where it was when you were born is always beneficial, expands your visibility in the world in the sign of Libra, so we're looking for an extreme balance. And then Saturn conjuncts his, Venus conjuncts his moon on that day as well, which is very positive. By inaugural time, Saturn conjuncts his moon. And when on the inauguration day, because I like that day to look at it because that's a specific time, Saturn on somebody's moon is you're getting what you deserve. You're getting what you've been told to do. This is a karmic debt you're paying up on. I mean, we all do that, you know, we all serve the world in some way. We all feel responsible for whether our careers, our families, whatever. And so with Saturn conjunct somebody's moon, this is a period of restriction and duty. Does that mean he's going to be sad and depressed because he lost, or and he's watching it on TV and he's not there? Or does it mean the freedoms he enjoys now are going away because he's president? He's not going to get to do the things he does now if he's the president for the next 4 years. So that's why I can't make a decision. Because how do you know?
And how did her chart look on inaugural day?
On inaugural day, here it is. The moon's in Scorpio on inaugural day. And we've already discussed she has a boatload of things in Scorpio. And on inaugural day, January 20th at noon in DC, she has Venus conjunct her moon. Extremely positive. I swear, they both are winners and they're both losers. Somebody's got to lose and somebody's going to win. They both, in my opinion, the way I see it, they both have, it's a 50-50 shot right now.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
interesting.
You have heard it here on Web of Light from the astrological perspective from New Hampshire astrologer Dorothy Morgan. So we've got some events coming up here.
Yes, we do.
Do you have any closing thoughts about anything Dorothy had to say? Or are we going to move right into events?
We'll move into events. I just wanted to mention one piece. That
Be
was
kind.
really-
Don't be mad at me.
One thing that struck my mind when she was discussing this whole thing is it just makes me reflect on the rumor, again, the media piece, because if they're both in a win-win situation, perhaps because they do have a strong bond, perhaps they're where they need to be.
They are.
Just going to say.
Yeah. I mean, whatever happens, whether Donald wins the presidency or loses it, he will make it a win.
Yeah.
He will make it a win.
Yep. That's true. And it doesn't matter anyways, because like I've heard many other people say, and I agree 100%, we still go on living our lives. Many of us thought the same thing when it came to many previous presidential elections. And we're still here, and for the most part, we're still doing fine, and we will continue to do fine. This is not going to change my life significantly at this point in time. It might, but you know, we still have our lives to live, and we're still going to go anyways.
Okay.
All right, let you guys move on.
So, Angie, I'll let you do the first
Just a
event.
couple of
It's
events
yours.
coming up. I have the Autumn Full Moon Psychic Fair coming up on October 15th, 9:30 to 6, the Hampton Inn and Suites in Portsmouth, in Exeter, New Hampshire at 59 Portsmouth Ave. And on the same day, I'll be leaving your side because you'll be.
I'm going to switch. Okay, this is the beauty of being on the thing with two Geminis. My right hip that's usually attached to Angie at events is going to get attached to Dorothy for this event because on October 15th, Dorothy and I are going to be at Celebrate Samhain.
Yes.
At the Nashua Courtyard Marriott on 220 Southwood Drive. That celebrates Samhain. This event's been going on for about 15 years.
Yes.
We had the publicity director of Samhain that was on our show last week, or
Yes.
at some point, depending on when the shows get released. But that's coming up. So you and I will be there. We're both speaking. Yes.
I am. I'm talking on moon magic. How to use the moon.
And I'm talking on ghosts. Woohoo! And then on October 23rd.
There, we'll have the Web of Light Shaman's Dream Crystal Show at the Holistic Self-Care Center, 12 Murphy Drive in Nashua.
And then on the last weekend of the month, Halloween weekend, all three of us on Saturday, Sunday, different days, are going to be at the Shaman's Dream Gifts Psychic Fair at the Fox Run Mall in Newington, New Hampshire. You ladies will be there Sunday. I will be there Saturday. I might be there Sunday too. That's kind of up in the air. 11 to 9 on Saturday and 11 to 6 on Sunday. Every other Wednesday, you can find me up at Leaping Lizards in Portland, Maine. And every Thursday, you can find both Angie and I at Shaman's Dream Gifts in the Fox Run Mall. Every other Wednesday that I'm not, that I'm at Leaping Lizards, you're going to have Dorothy at the Shaman's Dream Gifts. So if you want your astrology done, go to Shaman's Dream Gifts at the Fox Run Mall as well. Also, we have the Web of Light Expo, Earth Day weekend,
Yep,
Saturday
Earth Day.
10th and 11th. Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 11 to 4. That
April
is
22nd and 23rd.
140 vendors, 20 readers, and over 30 speakers. So pay attention. Dorothy will be there. We'll be doing a breakfast morning chat. We won't get into it because we're out of time, but we just want to close today's show. Vote Hillary, vote Donald, but vote. Even though you've heard here on this stage that the little votes affect us more, and I don't disagree with that, I still stand by, you don't get to complain about what goes on to Washington if you haven't voted. If you haven't voted, you've abdicated. The abdication is for the apathetic. So get out of the way and let the rest of us live our lives. Namaste.